But where is everybody? These words were said by Italian-American physicist Enrico Fermi in the summer of 1950 to his co-workers at Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico during a casual conversation they were having over lunch. And so Fermi's name became associated with this paradox of the total silence from the stars, while it seems that there should be someone out there. When it comes to humanity's search for extraterrestrial life, the Fermi paradox is one of the most discussed subjects. Surely it seems logical that our galaxy, our universe, must be teeming with life. There are billions of stars in the Milky Way alone, and there are trillions of exoplanets orbiting those stars. Many of these planets could potentially host life and could eventually develop an intelligent species that, just like we did, invents technology with which to detect signals from outer space and to send a message back. They might even travel space and visit other planets. Fermi himself is also known for being the creator of the world's first nuclear reactor, and he has been called the architect of the nuclear age and the architect of the atomic bomb. He was one of the very few physicists to excel in both theoretical physics and experimental physics, and he made significant contributions to the development of statistical mechanics, quantum theory, and nuclear and particle physics. This man's work effectively changed the world, so if you were not aware of him outside of the paradox, now you know that he was one of the most important scientists of the modern era. So where is everybody? It's a good question, and there are many explanations for the paradox. And most of them are uncomfortable to think about, to say the least. It's possible that the answer is simply a practical problem. Considering how quickly humanity has been developing new technologies for the past, say, 150 years, it wouldn't be surprising that an older intelligent civilization uses technology that is far more advanced than ours, and that we can detect their signals and communications for the time being. Imagine someone sitting in a room tapping in Morse code on a telegraph machine, thinking this is the best way or even the only way to contact the outside. That person might feel like no one is out there because the rest of the world is using completely different means to communicate, methods that might seem impossible to that person in the room. Any telegraph operator from the past would be astounded to find out that today we can talk to each other in real time from practically all over the world, using a device that can access pretty much all the information we could ever want or need whenever we want or need it. It would be nothing short of magic to them. Now, this idea comes with a few more disheartening implications. Suppose we are the lonely telegraph operator. Would anybody even be looking for us? Obsolete technology fades quickly. When the MP3 player hit the market, CD sales plummeted. When streaming became the new best way to watch movies and shows, people stopped buying DVDs. Aside from collectors and museums, there can't be many people that have a functioning telegraph machine sitting in their home or shed. And there's no network to connect to anymore. Nobody is going to receive the lonely operator's message because no one is listening for them. So unless we discover new methods of interstellar communication, we might just be screaming into the void. We use radio technology to communicate on Earth and to send messages into outer space. Radio waves travel at near light speed pretty much unhindered, especially in empty space since there isn't much to disturb the signal. Light speed is the fastest speed possible, but considering the absolutely enormous scale of the universe, it's still aggravatingly slow. Suppose tomorrow we receive an exciting message from the stars. It comes from a planet in the Proxima Centauri system, the closest star to our sun. There is an intelligent civilization on this planet, and they send us a friendly, "Hello, who are you, and what's your planet like? Here's who we are." This would be incredible news, and we would be eager to send a message back, so we get to it and say, "Hi there, we're humans from Earth." That return signal would take about 4 years to arrive, since the Proxima Centauri system sits about 4 light years away. But the people of Proxima Centauri will have waited 8 years to hear from us, because their message also took 4 years to get to us. And we would also have to wait 8 years to hear from them again. 4 light years is nothing on the cosmic scale, and yet for us, it's so immensely far. With our current technology, it would take thousands of years to fly any probe or ship to Proxima Centauri. And that's just our galactic backyard. For now, everything else in our galaxy and our universe is completely out of reach. our earliest radio broadcasts left our planet about 200 years ago, and so they're no further than 200 light years away. Even if someone in that radius could be listening, it's unlikely they would pick up these signals, since they are very weak and probably have faded away into the background noise of the cosmos. A deliberate signal like the Arecibo message has been on its way since 1974, but it'll take about 25,000 years to reach M13, the globular cluster it was aimed at. Now, to be fair, the Arecibo message was never meant to be a serious attempt at communication with extraterrestrial civilizations, but more as a demonstration of human technological achievement. Still, scientists are actively listening for any signal or message from outer space, well aware that it might be a one-way conversation. Either way, any evidence of an intelligent alien civilization capable of broadcasting into space would be one of the greatest discoveries we could possibly make as an intelligent and technologically advanced species ourselves. And of course, we love to fantasize about what they could be like. In many ways, our ideas about aliens are holding up a mirror to our society, since we tend to project both our biggest dreams and our darkest fears onto these, for now, hypothetical beings. On the one hand, we imagine them coming here with good intentions. They would be different from us, but not so much we couldn't figure out ways to communicate. We could learn so much from each other. They could show us ways to travel space ourselves, or how to solve problems we currently face that seem insurmountable. We imagine there being a giant galactic society that we could join and elevate our own in the process. After all, isn't that what we would do if we became a highly advanced race capable of sailing the cosmic seas? But we know our own history, and so we know that we are very capable of horrible things. We imagine an alien species coming here to enslave us, or destroy us and pick the carcass of our world clean before disappearing into the depths of space, onto the next unaware, defenseless planet. After all, that's exactly what we have done to each other too many times over. Societies that consider themselves more advanced have often encountered others that they deemed primitive, and forcibly made them change their ways, steal them from their homes, and kill them. And so we fear an alien species could do the same to us. For this very reason, some scientists warn against sending any messages into the cosmos. We may not hear from anyone because the smarter societies know they should avoid being found. Maybe somebody is watching us right now, and you could argue this doesn't have to be a bad thing. They could be waiting for us to be ready for whatever it is they want to get us involved in. Sometimes it's suggested that it was aliens that seeded our planet with life and even helped us develop certain technologies. Or that we could be like some kind of science project for them. Now, one can wonder why an alien species would want to do that. It seems like a massive long-term endeavor, and there doesn't seem to be much to gain from it. But, well, we keep fish in tanks and ant colonies in boxes, so maybe some kind of highly advanced, extremely long-lived race sees us as just that. Just these funny little creatures running around on a planet they designed, for nothing but their entertainment, and we are completely unaware of this. Fun. Am I being watched? Oh no, it's just you, of course. Or is it? To get back to practical problems for a bit, there might be quite a few intelligent civilizations in our galaxy, but none of them have figured out how to travel space for some reason. At least not yet. One idea is that we could be one of the first people to ever travel space in the history of our universe, even if we haven't really gotten out of our solar system yet. After all, it takes a lot of time and resources and top-notch engineering to send things into space, and if we send our own people into space, we very much prefer they return, making the whole process even more complicated. Another thing to consider is that our technological revolution has not been going on for that long. Modern humans started to appear in Africa about 300,000 years ago. For the majority of the existence of our species, we were hunter-gatherers, living in small family groups of about 50 people, always on the move and living off the land. Every human alive today is not that different from those people. If you could travel back in time and take a hunter-gatherer baby, that would be unethical, but you could probably perfectly raise that child in modern-day society. Only about 10,000 years ago did humans start to settle down and farm the land and domesticate animals. From then on, we slowly built bigger towns and then cities, and learned how to make tools out of metal, and surely we built incredible things like pyramids and cathedrals, and ships with which we sailed the world's oceans. But the biggest changes didn't start to happen until the Industrial Revolution. That started about 270 years ago, which is peanuts compared to all those centuries we hunted and gathered. But in that short amount of time, our society changed completely. In many ways for the better. Less and less people live in extreme poverty, we live much longer, and never before could so many people access healthcare and education. This is all fantastic, of course, but we are being confronted with the consequences of our frankly insane growth spurt. It's getting to a point many people feel hopeless. We seem to be dooming ourselves and the life on our planet, and once again, this holds up a mirror to ourselves, and we fear self-destruction is the fate of any intelligent civilization. They burn too fast and too hot, and die young. Another uncomfortable thought is that we may very well be limited by the physics of our universe. If there truly is no way to travel faster than light speed, colonizing the galaxy is going to be a gargantuan task for any civilization, and they might simply decide to not do it. They might not have resources, and physically exploring space might prove too complicated for any distance outside of a star system. And we do dream of colonies on Mars and beyond, or even generation ships that cross the vast emptiness of the cosmos to explore new worlds. But all of this is extremely complicated to actually do. And yes, once upon a time people said that about putting astronauts on the moon, but you see, the moon is only 300,000 kilometers away, Mars is 54 million kilometers away. Not to mention the limitations of our own physical bodies. Astronauts have to be in absolute peak physical condition to go into space, and extended periods away from Earth, like on the International Space Station, where people live and work for months at a time, really do a number on their bodies. They have to train a lot to stay fit, because being in microgravity doesn't put any stress on the muscles, and so they start to deteriorate, including the heart, because it doesn't have to work against the gravity of Earth to pump blood around the body. They lose bone tissue and blood volume, which can cause lack of oxygen in the body, and the fluids in their bodies don't quite sit where they're supposed to, causing, for instance, eyesight problems because there is more pressure from the fluid in the head on the eyes and the optic nerve. As it is, living in space for long periods of time is kinda terrible. So maybe civilizations will never travel the universe themselves, but they could send machines. After all, that's what we have been doing since the dawn of space exploration. We currently have a helicopter drone on Mars. On Mars! We have sent probes to the moon, the sun, to every planet of our solar system and some of their moons, and some of our machines are currently leaving the solar system behind altogether, carrying messages of the people who built them. And of course, it's an amazing achievement that we put people on the moon, and that people are currently living and working in space, but in the end, the machines are just easier and cheaper to use for space exploration. We love to imagine aliens coming here in person, but maybe our very first contact with extraterrestrial life could be a machine, like a probe or a robot. Simply because it would be much easier to send information or some type of mechanical messenger to other planets. Or we could do that ourselves someday. Technically, we already have. The Pioneer 10 and 11 probes each carry a plaque with a drawing of humans and some basic information about our solar system. The probes themselves are no longer functioning, but they're likely still out there, slowly but surely making their way into interstellar space. The Voyager 1 and 2 probes each carry a golden record, with information about planet Earth and our solar system, where to find it and what our world and our species is like. If the probes aren't destroyed, they and the records could potentially last millions of years in space. And maybe they will be the first message any other intelligent species will ever receive from the stars. If we truly are limited by the speed of light, sending a message in a bottle type of probe or even a computer with an AI would only tell us so much about an alien civilization. The golden records were made in the 1970s, so all they are is a snapshot of humanity at that time. If it takes 1,000,000 years for them to be intercepted, then our society, if it still exists, will be completely different. If anyone deliberately sends a machine our way, it will easily take thousands of years to get here, and all we will see is what these people were like at the time their message left. We could always try sending something back, but by the time it arrives at its destination, the recipients could be gone, or have changed too much, and may have forgotten they tried to contact us in the first place. There's another potential problem with receiving messages from space. We might not understand. We might not even realize we are receiving messages right now. In other words, alien life might be too alien. All we can do is operate within the framework of our world, our minds, and our lifetimes, and it's the same for any potential intelligent civilization that's out there in space. Maybe there are several or many intelligent societies out there, but we can't perceive them, and they couldn't necessarily perceive us. Their chemistry could be completely different. Their technology and means of communication could be completely different, as mentioned before. Or they live much longer or much shorter. They might think much faster or much slower than we do, and so their message could look like background noise to us. How do you even begin to find that? Another possible reason as to why we have not heard from anyone from the stars is that intelligent species may not have overcome certain hurdles on the way to becoming technologically advanced. Some say it's our extremely refined use of tools. Others say it's our control of fire. It might have been the invention of the wheel or the invention of metal tools, and so there are many examples throughout human history that have helped set us on the right path. After all, there are other intelligent species right now on Earth, like our close cousins chimpanzees and bonobos, and also dolphins, crows, and octopi. They can also use tools and show problem solving and highly social behavior, but none of them do exactly what we do. Well, our closest cousins, the Neanderthals, were likely just as intelligent as us, but they died out about 40,000 years ago. It's not clear if it's because our ancestors killed them all as they migrated to Europe and Asia, or that maybe it was certain circumstances in the area Neanderthals preferred to live in. Maybe there never were a lot of them in the first place, and the groups they lived in were too small, and so it was easier for one group to be completely wiped out by starvation due to a particularly strong winter, for instance, or a disease or disaster. Maybe they just joined groups of humans and slowly assimilated, since there are traces of Neanderthal DNA in modern-day Europeans and Asians. Either way, there once were two highly intelligent species here on Earth with just as much potential to reach for the stars, but one just didn't make it. All of this falls under the umbrella of the Great Filter. In the context of the Fermi paradox, it means that on the road from life starting off on a world all the way to civilization reaching the highest levels of development, there exists a sort of barrier that prevents most life of ever getting there. And we might face it too. We might never visit the stars and simply fade away. Our existence barely a thread in the great cosmic tapestry. It's possible that this is the fate of any intelligent species. Our civilization existing might just be dumb luck, like winning the lottery. And not just once, but many times. So often that most life just gets a losing ticket or a bad roll of the dice eventually and dies out. After all, this is pretty much the entire history of life on Earth. Billions upon billions upon billions of species have come and gone on our small blue world. But only once did one dream of traveling the universe. Well, winning the lottery is unlikely, but it still happens all the time, so even if winners are rare, the universe has a lot of players. There are trillions of stars and multitudes more exoplanets. So realistically, some life form at some point will get to the point we are at now and develop ever further. And supposedly, it's just a matter of time until they contact us or even visit us. If you ask people if they believe aliens exist, the overwhelming majority will say yes, of course. They just have to be out there. Extraterrestrial life not existing is probably one of the most depressing solutions to the paradox, because then that means our search is meaningless and a waste of time and resources. No matter how hard we look, every star system would be sterile. No matter how many times we let the cosmic phone ring, no one will pick up and say hello. All of our carefully crafted messages will disappear into the void until someday we would stop sending them altogether. Perhaps because we gave up, or perhaps because humanity will be dead. It's not unthinkable that humans are the first and maybe even the last intelligent space-exploring beings to exist. If we look at the history of life on Earth, it seems that it started as soon as that was possible, about 4 billion years ago. However, for most of that time, all the life forms were single-celled organisms simply floating around in the oceans, and all they did was eat, replicate, and die. Multicellular beings only started to evolve somewhere between 1.5 billion years ago to only 600 million years ago. And even then, the overwhelming majority of living creatures on Earth are still single-celled bacteria. A rough estimate says that there could be 5 million trillion bacteria on the planet, and possibly trillions of different species. And most of them haven't even been discovered yet. If for some reason multicellular life dies out on Earth, microbes will most likely still thrive. They can live in many different environments and have survived every catastrophe and major extinction event this planet has ever seen. So there is the possibility that life may be pretty common in the universe, but only simple forms of it. Evolution doesn't care about complexity or intelligence. It's just a process that makes a species adapt, so the members of its species last long enough to reproduce. And if they can't, well, too bad. Evolution will not mourn the microbes that may have once existed on a small rocky planet in a red dwarf system on the other side of the Milky Way 2 billion years ago. They happened and then stopped happening, and that's it. We are biased in the sense that we sometimes think because we happened that we could be special somehow. And in many ways, it is incredible that we are conscious, feeling, dreaming beings capable of contemplating all of existence. But if we die out, the only consequence would be that the universe will grow just a little colder than it already was. We don't know how or why single cells started to evolve into complex beings. This is one possible great filter. It could just be highly unlikely life anywhere ever gets to that stage. That makes the possibility of intelligent life even less likely, and there may only be a handful of advanced species out there. And we could truly be alone. The possibility of several technologically advanced species existing doesn't mean they will exist at the same time, or in the same galaxy. Some scientists say that there is only a small window for life to appear in the universe. In the beginning, it was too chaotic, and as it grows older and the average energy density decreases, it will no longer be possible anymore for life to begin anywhere. Looking at the time it took for humans to appear, and considering we are just one species out of many billions, what are the odds others have done the same or more right now? It would seem that intelligence and consciousness are just cosmic coincidences that might flare up every now and then, but never bright enough and never long enough to find each other and share what they hope, love, and dream. Maybe we will overcome the odds and travel to other planets, but all we would ever find would be the ruins of dead civilizations, once thriving, once full of dreams and visions of a bright future that never happened. Who knows, the first sign we find of aliens could be their skeletons. Which would still be extremely interesting, but I imagine we would prefer finding living ones. But of course that's just one possibility, and if we don't look and don't listen, we will never find out. Ultimately, there's only one right answer to the question, where is everybody? We don't know. We can talk about it all day and night and come up with dozens of explanations and firmly believe, yes, they're out there, they have to be, or no, it's too complicated, it's too hard. But surprisingly, not that many people answer I don't know to the question whether they think extraterrestrial beings exist, but it is the only answer we have. It's not a very satisfying or imaginative one, but it is the most logical and unbiased we can be. The only absolute proof of life existing we have is the life on Earth, and what one chooses to believe about extraterrestrial life existing doesn't change that fact. If we look at the famous Drake equation formulated by astronomer Frank Drake in 1961 in order to try and estimate how many alien civilizations there are, it's easy to see that the biggest issues with the equation is that we can't fill in all the numbers. To find out how many communicating civilizations there currently are in the Milky Way, we need to know the average rate of star formation in our galaxy, the fraction of those stars that have planets, the average number of planets that could support life, the fraction of habitable planets that then develop life, the fraction of planets with life that develop intelligent life, the fraction of civilizations that develop technology to release detectable signals into space, and the length of time civilizations release detectable signals. Thanks to years of research, we know the rate of star formation in the Milky Way is between 1.5 and 3 stars per year, and we know that almost every star in our galaxy has at least one planet, so the second value approaches 1. The next value, the fraction of habitable planets, already comes with a bit of guesswork. What does habitable even mean? Scientists focus their search for signs of extraterrestrial life on smaller rocky planets in the so-called Goldilocks zone of a star, the zone where liquid water can be present on a planet's surface. In other words, any planets that's similar to Earth. It makes the most sense because all we have to go by to look for alien life is the life that exists here. We have no idea if life could develop on a gas giant or in methane lakes like on Saturn's moon Titan. We're not even sure how exactly life began on Earth. And so the other values in the equation are also all unknown because we have just one example of an intelligent civilization that sends signals into space for a certain amount of time. Us. And that's it. Depending on what numbers you put into the Drake equation, your result can be millions of communicating contactable civilizations to just one in our galaxy, or even the observable universe. And it's for sure interesting to play with the numbers, but it doesn't really tell us anything meaningful, at least not until we can fill out more of the equation. Uncertainty makes us uncomfortable, and rightly so. If a hunter-gatherer ancestor of ours hears rustling in the bushes, they better find out soon if it's a predator ready to attack or just another tribe member coming to say hi. Knowing makes us feel at ease, and as our civilization developed and our knowledge grew, we solved many questions but found multitudes more. And so the quest for knowledge never ends. Some questions will likely never see an answer in our lifetimes, maybe even never. Now, that has never deterred humanity from trying to find out more about the true nature of our existence and our universe. And in many ways, the search for knowledge is just as satisfying, if not more, as finally finding the answer to a question. After all, if you knew everything there was to know, wouldn't that be boring? Frustrating even, that there is nothing else to find out. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new today, and I will see you soon.